AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
He doesn't join in with the sort of pack discussion that can develop, particularly the competitors from Korea and Japan worked together on the bouldering and had a little conversation about the route. Molinova choosing to keep her distance. So they get this opportunity. So we have a look at Kim Ja-in. Opportunity just to plot a route and to think about how they might go about making the ascent. And then they're not allowed to see the other competitors. And that's really significant because obviously it would be an unfair advantage. So now just time for a little study. And if you're new to the discipline of lead climbing, well, it is as it sounds. There is a belayer below who just helps control the dynamic, the length of elastic that the athletes are attached to, and they've got to clip themselves into position. Wonderful watching people work their way through an ascent from ground level. Lee Bong-yin and Sassol, the two competitors working together now, but working quite far apart on the current standings. Sassol top, Lee Bong-yin last place. So the athletes have to clip themselves into the quick draws every 6 to 12 feet or thereabouts. They do what's known as climbing on site, i.e. the first time they approach it is the first time that they've had the chance to approach it. And what's really nice to see is how the competitors really do work together. There's no air of secrecy right now. You've got 6 climbers. They've been part of this journey through qualification. They're the top 6, the very best who made it from a field of 20 to this stage. And they've really approached it as a team. Yes, one will ultimately be victorious and take the top prize. It won't be because someone's withheld information from someone else. They have a real sense of sporting spirit as we approach the last couple of minutes of the observation time. So how do we decide this? Well, the climbers will get 1 attempt, and the height is recorded by way of the last hold. And if the hold is deemed to be controlled and stable, well, that means they've achieved a good position. If the hold is deemed to be used, it means they've controlled that and begun to move towards the next hold. So that will get recorded as a plus by the height. We'll cover all of this when the climbs actually start. So it's not timed for who does the best. Climbers have got a maximum time to make their ascent, but they can take some rest time as they go. And actually, judging the rest time bang on is really important. The bouldering very different, and competitors could take as many attempts as they liked in the 4 minutes, as long as they had the chance to actually do it. As long as there was time left on the clock, they could have a go.
And then go to directly volume, and pick, yes, right, yes, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, yes, right, yes, left, right, mat, next, yes, right, left, then jump.
Isn't it an absolute joy to see athletes sharing tactics ahead of an Asian Games final in order to ensure that they all produce their best work? It really is a wonderful ethos for a sport.
All the athletes, the time is over.
The officials saying, okay, come on, away you go now, time's up. And they are strict on the application of these rules. That, the challenge. 6 minutes, the time in which to scale it. Piece of cake, right? What a task. What a task. And somebody will emerge the Asian Games champion. The first one in combined climbing. We've had the speed competitions. They took place a couple of days ago. Just a reminder for those of you who've been with us throughout the day, and by way of introduction for those just joining us for the lead final, that is the state of play after speed and bouldering. How the scoring works is essentially the lower the number, the better you're doing, because the total points are multiplied at the various stages of the competition, and you want your score to be low. If you're the best performer in any one discipline, that's really significant because you get your other scores multiplied by 1. So Sa Sol, who was the best in speed, then had her bouldering score of 4, or her position of 4 added to that, multiplied, and that gives a total score of 4. Same for Noguchi, who was the opposite way round, 6th on the speed but first on the bouldering, a score of 6. You don't want to be is in a position like Kim Ja-in and Lee Hung-ying, who have 5 points and 3 points from each event, so 15 points there on. And that has generated the start list. And to keep us guessing right until the very end, the top 2 performers will go last. One of the great joys about the sport of climbing, and why it really does have a place in these big multi-sport events, is that the crowd can watch it with an uninterrupted view from anywhere in the stadium. They really can see absolutely everything. So well positioned. Televises wonderfully as a sport as well. Cameras can get right up in there and forensically observe the action, but also can provide us with a sense of scale. It is that funny thing that a climbing wall almost inevitably looks much flatter when viewed face on. You just see the slight diagonal on the camera angle there. It does rather wonderfully illustrate just how far those overhangs jut out. Various features built into the wall to make it more interesting, more complex, and there are some other additions, holds or volumes. And the great thing about the design of the climbing wall is We have other action taking place in the JSC Sports Centre. So very, very popular developing sport in these multi-sport games, skateboarding. It's a massive, massive following globally. But the great joy about these climbing walls is that they can be assembled and reassembled and varied really nicely. Those different screw-in points to attach the various holds and the volumes. Made of resin, the climbing holds.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the sport climbing competitions in women's combined qualification lead category.
Para hadirin sekalian, kita lanjutkan final sport climbing kategori lead combine putri.
Observation time complete. Last moments now for the competitors to adjust and to be ready to get underway. Closes her eyes, Lee Hung-ying just thinks back to that route. She's got it planned out, she's got an idea. Of course, that idea may well change when she's actually up there. That's the thing, you can assess it from ground level, but it's a whole different ball game when you're on the wall. Looking relaxed though, which is really good to see. Kim Ja-in just blocking everything out, getting some music playing. A lot of athletes choose to do that, just shut themselves into their own little world. There's no right and wrong way to prepare, no absolute. Just down to the athlete and their coaches knowing what works best for them. A lot of visualization for Lee Hung-ying. They will be the first two to go, Lee Hung-ying and Kim Ja-in. Both locked on 15 points. That flexibility that the climbers have, ability to control in a wide stance, so important in establishing the best positions, moving from volume to volume. Marcel Malinova, who's in 4th place, but is a more confident speed climber than she is in bouldering and lead. It's not out of the question that she could push into medal contention. Really needs a super display in the lead. Another one of those competitors who likes to just keep herself to herself before the competition begins, the 21-year-old. She's a voracious reader, really likes to, on these long competitions, get away from the intensity of the training environment by burying herself in a book. It's a very wise move. Lee Hung-ying of Chinese Taipei is first to go in the lead competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the first female route, bib number 74, Lee
So,
Hung-ying from China,
6
Taipei.
minutes. That's the maximum amount of climb time. Lee Hung-ying was the 5th overall qualifier, but sits in last position in the final at the moment. These, the quick draws that The climbers have got to attach the dynamic or the rope, the elastic too. That's why they have the assistance of the belayer, who's at the base. The belayer just controlling the application of the dynamic, but the climb, that's in the control of Lee Hung-ying. Now, reaching this first really complex overhang. There, that's what it actually looks like from the side. That's what she's trying to work her way along. Gravity's a potent old thing. Many of you have been on a climbing wall. You'll know that very first time, that first moment, having tackled the really initial novice walls, that first time you're confronted with an overhang is a real sink or swim moment. This time you're really forced to confront gravity. Okay at the moment, just a little on the stretch. But her footwork is very methodical and precise. Oh, 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 oh. Getting into tricky territory now, Lee Hung-ying. She's just dabbing slightly at some of those volumes, just prodding a little with the feet. No, she's gone. Yeah, always looked like it was building that. So we have identified the section that's going to pose problems. Footwork started to become a little more unsteady, and she made a bold gambit. Did not pay off. Just waiting clarification of the score for Lee Hung-ying. Just processing that right now. Looks like it's coming as a 23 plus. So she did have control of the hold and was just pushing up, was using it. That's that little plus. It's for when a competitor is actually more than just controlled and stable in a position, they're actually trying to attack aggressively the next one, which is undoubtedly what she was doing. So Kim Ja-in of the Republic of Korea.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the females group with number 44, Kim Ja-in from Korea.
29-year-old has already proven that she has earned the nickname the ballerina on the rock. She has a really compelling style. And all this after having had some really serious wrist and knee injuries in the last few years, particularly that right knee. Had to have surgery on the ligaments. The amount of dogged application that she has put in to rehabbing ligament injuries, notoriously horrible to rehab from. She's in her element in this sort of environment. Really does absolutely love lead climbing. She was the best performer in the lead in qualification. Really needs a massive display if she's going to push into medal contention. The idea for the climbers is just to find a suitable rest position every now and then where they can reapply the chalk, where they can just stop and plan the next attack. But she's motoring with authority at the moment, Kim Jae-in. Teammates call her the Spider Girl. Seeing a bit of evidence as to why that is right now with the feet positioning. Now then, how's she feeling here? Yes. Just has to readjust the feet. Trying to get the heel hooked in nicely there. That right heel's wedged in a treat. Allows her to put on the next clip. Now this is a really difficult transition point to master. Just to get the left leg out on that volume. She's taking her time really intelligently. Still a way away from the top. It's not about reaching the top so much as it is about going further than anyone else goes. And now can just take a moment to rest in this position. Not the same sort of rest that you or I would have, but still by her standards a rest. She really has confronted this wall with absolute clarity. Keeps getting clipped in. This is looking good. This really is super. "80 seconds to get as far as possible." Got a sturdy grip on that hold. Oh, this is quite marvellous. Well, there's plenty of evidence here as she has a bit of a rethink for why Kim Jae-in was the strongest performer in the lead element in qualification. This is going to take some beating. She's got super flexibility. Has she got the strength? Most certainly, she's really close to the top now. Last 30 seconds, she's pushing and pushing and pushing for that top. Might well make it. But this is a wonderful mark set. Last 15 seconds. She's going to leap for it, and she has made it. Kim Ja-in goes the distance, clips herself in. Outstanding. That is sensational climbing. Sensational climbing in an Asian Games final. It was always going to be her key discipline, but boy, did she deliver. Well, that could make an enormous difference. If anyone else gets to the top now, it's going to come down to time. A look back at this wonderful attack from Kim Ja-in of the Republic of Korea. You just feel so confident watching her attack a lead course. She just knows what she's doing. She exudes a calmness on the course. She was 5th in the speed, having to play heavy-duty catch-up, 3rd in the bouldering, and will be hard to dislodge from 1st place in the lead. It's been the reverse situation for Asel Marlenova of Kazakhstan, the 21-year-old. She was 2nd in the speed by 100th of a second, and then last position in the bouldering. Now, lead was her weakest element in qualification. She was the 16th best performer out of 20 in lead. It was her score in the speed, that 1st place finish in the speed in qualifying, that made the difference when the multiplication was done. Her 1 for speed was multiplied by the 11 for bouldering and the 16 for lead to get 176. In contrast, Kim Ja-in was on a score of 16. Kim Ja-in could well be on a better score after this is all done. She could well be on 15. Sometimes the maths are as entertaining as the climbing in one of these combined competitions. Decent start by Marlenova, desperate to get some confidence back after a tricky old time on the 4 bouldering courses. Got herself into a slightly awkward position here, though. Trying to get that left leg placed as she wants it. Not so sure about this. No. It's been a really tough 2nd and 3rd phase of the competition for Asel Marlenova, this excellent speed climber. Given it her very best. Stares rather longingly at a section of the wall that she will not reach. I'll bring you an update on the score for Marlenova just as soon as that has been confirmed. A few calculations have to be made. Judges have to be in agreement as to whether a hold was sustained and controlled or whether it was a used hold. Just the 4 for Asel Marlenova. Futaba Ito of Japan, the 16-year-old. She is well positioned. 4 in the speed, a 2 in the bouldering. But a poor performance in this, and suddenly the multiplication becomes huge. Suddenly the number increases dramatically. Well, just confirmation that score for Marlenova's changed. It's a 12 plus. It's actually coming out. That seems a little bit fairer on Marlenova. Came up initially as a 4, which was slightly bewildering. The clear mark set by Kim Ja-in, who got all the way to the top, and it's told all the other competitors that that's what you're going to need to do in order to win Asian Games gold. But one thing we've learned about this teenager from Japan is that she approaches the challenge with a remarkable calmness. Several years the youngest competitor in the final. Three have gone so far. Kim Ja-in got all the way to the top. Lee Hung-ying, 23 plus. Asel Marlenova, 12 plus. Kim Ja-in proving to all and sundry that it is possible to get there. A little bit of uncertainty with the footwork and a bit of awkwardness in terms of where the dynamic had positioned itself there for Futaba Ito. Just taking a bit of rest time to plan the next move. They've all had observation time, these competitors, of 6 minutes, but different to observe it when you're actually there in position. This is a tough stretch. The moment in control. Already seen that be the undoing of some of the competitors. Not so for Futaba Ito. Just resets herself now for a moment. Just over half of the time has been used. This is all going very nicely. It's a challenge for the route setters. They need to set something that can be accomplished. They need to get the difficulty level right. Or just on the verge of getting a foot tangled. Having to change the plan there for Futaba Ito. Maybe not at this point. Or maybe there's another way. Not looking fully comfortable. Trying to get the heel hooked around the volume. No, she just didn't look right. And she's gone. All is well there for Futaba Ito. It's been a bit of discomfort as she fell. Oh, just struggling to get weight down on the knee, I think. This would be a really unworthy end to Futaba Ito's magnificent challenge. She's hurt that right knee. Let's have a look at what happened here. Had the heel hooked in, just keep an eye on the right leg. Just felt something there straight away, a bit of a cry out of pain. She's such an exciting young climber. She's endeared herself to the Asian Games crowd. 28. 36 now coming up as the hold reached for Futaba Ito, 36 plus. That's the second best we've had so far. Any celebration somewhat muted by Futaba Ito being stretchered off and really promptly attended to by the medical staff. They did a great job getting in there fast. It's the right knee that causes her problems. It's bent at a very complex angle as she tries this powerful pull forwards. It's so common, knee injuries for climbers, and it's not hard to understand why. Right, that's what we know so far with 2 to go. The 2 best performers across the first 2 disciplines still to go, Akio Noguchi and Sa-Sol. Kim Ja-in, the only competitor to reach the top. Akio Noguchi, teammate of Futaba Ito, 13 years older. Competed at the World Games in Wrocław in Poland last year. Came 6th in the lead competition. Really experienced competitor. She actually stood on a World Championship podium in lead climbing in 2005. Bronze medalist at the World Championships in Munich some 13 years ago. Needs that kind of form right now. Noguchi is on 6 points at the moment, that's all. There's the potential for Kim Ja-in to be on 15 points. But all of these are difficult permutations to play around with when things are still up in the air. And indeed they tend to be in the sport of climbing. This is good, assertive work from Akio Noguchi. She was the second best performer in qualification in the lead. It was her best discipline, so much as was the case with Kim Ja-in, Noguchi has to be regarded as a very serious contender here. She's very, very serious, Noguchi, about her conditioning. Does about 4 hours of weight training every day. Comes in handy at moments like this. One of the first really complex sections. breezing at the moment, Noguchi. Trying to get the left heel hooked and now placed on the volume. That's super. That really is super. Halfway mark in terms of the timer, reached by Akio Noguchi. A little uncertain, just very slightly for a moment in the placement. But this is really very fine. And she is getting there. This is where it's so easy for the dynamic to get caught up and tangled. Got to extricate your feet from it. All that conditioning, absolutely vital now for Noguchi as she has a look at other options. Big pull needed here. She got that hold. Oh, nearly. Oh, thought for a moment she was there. I think she did as well. Akio Noguchi comes off very close to the top. Well, that was a nearly moment. She was almost there. Top was virtually in sight. What will that cost? What will that cost? Just one to go. Noguchi's been given a 40 plus for her account. Currently positioned second. So at the moment in the lead, it's Kim, Noguchi, Ito, Lee, Marlenova with one to go, and that is Sassol. There is Sassol. Always has a smile as she approaches the next task. How big will the smile be at the end of this task? We shall discover in due course, as the 23-year-old is the final competitor to go in what has been a wonderful women's combined final competition, not just in the lead, but across the speed and bouldering disciplines too. She only has a score of 4 points at the moment, Sassol. So if she can get herself in and around that top three, then that should be enough. Doesn't need to rush this. She's part of the North Face climbing team in the Republic of Korea. She's doing them proud at the moment. This is looking nice and tidy so far from Sassol. This is, well, I say that, this is now the tricky bit. Oh, she's made it. That was a big, bold play. And a very, very good one. Has to get herself clipped in, and she has done. That's one very tough bit navigated. That is what remains. It is no trifle. There's a lot of very, very hard work to come. And she has half of her time left to do it, Sassol. She's paced herself pretty well so far. Kim Ja-in, the only competitor who's gone the distance. Oh, she's off the wall. Sassol is off. Now, we await what that's going to be registered as. This is an anxious waiting time. And at the moment, where a really impressive looking climb just unravelled. Calculations are coming in.
This is the end of the final rounds in the women's combined lead category. Stay tuned from this hall because some of this will happen in the ceremony.
Sassol looks as though she's on a 37 plus. Which would put her in third position. There's our confirmation. Kim Ja-in, the top performer, managing to get all the way to the top of the course. So she will be positioned on 12 points overall. That is also the case for Akio Noguchi. Oh, excuse me, Kim Ja-in positioned on 15 points. And there is the confirmation of Akio Noguchi of Japan. She has taken the gold. Sassol having to settle for second place, having led right up until the last moments. Kim Ja-in working her way into a bronze medal position courtesy of a superb lead climb. Futaba Ito, who was performing so fantastically, just missing out at the very end. Confirmation once more of those results. And an enthralling conclusion to the women's combined final in sport climbing. Well, we have confirmation of the gold for Akio Noguchi ahead of Sa Sol taking the silver medal. And the reason for that, the countback system is used by the rankings in each discipline. So looking at a head-to-head record between Noguchi and Sa Sol, who performed best in the individual disciplines, and that's the determining factor that's used. And what it ultimately came down to was that Sa had beaten Noguchi in speed. Noguchi had beaten Sa in bouldering, but Noguchi just ahead in lead.
AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ